Welcome, welcome, welcome. There is a common denominator between all awakened individuals. And if you pay close attention, you will find it yourself. Now, I'm going to say awakened, quote unquote, because we keep progressing, we keep expanding. So we truly are never awakened. We are just in a journey, a constant journey, and some of us are just in, different levels. That's all it is. So, what is the common denominator? When I was a young kid, actually, I grew up in the Greek Orthodox tradition, which meant, yes, church, but something beyond that. I would go to a lot of these wonderful monasteries, even in Greece, that were high above in mountains, and they were very isolated, right? And when I would come across some of these monks that were there, some of them were truly incredible. Now, this has nothing to do with religion, by the way, okay? I'm talking about the awakening part. They always had wisdom beyond the wisdom that I would find in normal people that I would have conversations with. And that would always, give me a little spark as I was a kid. Growing older and traveling and meeting different other people from different other cultures, I found that it wasn't isolated just to the Greek Orthodox Church, for example. I met some Tibetan monks that I would have conversations with, and they were truly, truly fascinating to me. I met people from all over the world, and they were in different religions, different backgrounds. And some of them were so amazing. Whether it was from India, or whether it was from, Nepal, or whether it was from Greece, or whether it was from China, or whether it was from, other areas of the world, it didn't matter. I found something that was very, very common among all of them. And in a lot of cases, a lot of them didn't even belong to any religion, right? There are some very, very profound spiritual masters today and teachers today that are very, very well known, and they're not part of any religious group, let's say, but yet when you have a conversation with them, you will be mind blown. What I noticed and what I witnessed, and this is my observation, by the way, so if you have your own observations, by all means, feel free to express them right here, okay? My observation was that it didn't matter where they came from. It didn't matter what their background was. It didn't matter what religion they were in. It had one common thing. A lot of them didn't really care about their physical appearance, for starters. They didn't care about what others thought about them. That's another common denominator. The appearance was actually a big thing for me because a lot of them, I would see them with big beards, long hair. They wouldn't shave. Their clothes would often, resemble clothes of somebody that, really, didn't really care about their appearance, right? And I wondered why. Is it because they were poor? Is it because, whatever? As a kid, I had many things going through my mind. And it was none of that. You see, I found much later in life that they were like this because they found out who they truly were. They connected with their true selves. And as a result, It's not so much that they didn't care about themselves, because they did in certain ways, but in other ways, it's because they knew that they were beyond their body. They knew that this physical appearance was just temporary. And this is, by the way, a conversation that I had with many of them, and then I discovered it for myself later on as well, when I so-called became awakened, quote unquote, because like I said, it's a journey, it's not a destination. These people fascinated me, and when you would talk to them, they really didn't care about how much money they had in their bank account. They really didn't care, what kind of clothes they were wearing. They didn't care if they were shaved, unshaved, short hair, long hair. Of course, most modern spiritual masters or teachers, they're more modern, so they've kind of changed that. But then again, deep down inside, they really don't care about it. They didn't care if, they were sleeping in a, $3,000 bed frame and bed, or, whether it was on the floor. They really didn't care. They didn't care if they were driving around in a Rolls Royce, or if they were just hanging around in a donkey. A lot of them didn't really care. And this was fascinating to me, and I wondered why. And my answer was because they simply discovered who they were. They knew that they were beyond their physical body. They knew that the reason why they were here was not so much about physical, experiences, but rather than just the fact that they were here and they were creating awareness in the present moment. They were elevating and they were increasing the consciousness of the whole world and of the universe. This fascinated me. You see, whether they were in the Greek Orthodox tradition or whether they were, in Nepal, in the Himalayas, the fact that they were spending time with themselves brought them to a realization that who they were was beyond space, beyond time, beyond anything that you can comprehend. I remember even as a kid, sometimes somebody would be very, very sick in my hometown, and they would bring them to this monastery up in the mountains, like really, really high up. And there was a monk there that just by looking at you, he could literally talk to you about future events that would happen to you. He would be able to, heal you, if you want to call it that, because yes, like he was so remarkable on the spot. Mind you, it wasn't him doing it, it was the belief of the people in him that were healing themselves. Literally, because that's what it comes down to. You could project energy onto somebody, and if they accept it, it's a whole new ballgame. But their demeanor was so calm. I remember meeting them, so calm. Their speech, their voice was so calm. Their eyes were always calm. They had such a loving presence. You could see that what they were doing was, they were doing it because they truly had compassion for the person in front of them. They truly loved helping the person in front of them. And they really didn't care about themselves, which is fascinating. And I couldn't understand that at that time. But then later on I did. They became so aligned with who they truly are that their whole purpose here was to help others. Their whole purpose here was to awaken others, not to force their opinions, to awaken. Because just by being in their presence, you would feel this energy. And I speak about this many, many times. You always feel the energetic signature first of anybody that you come in contact with, because the frequency and vibration that they are emitting, it goes out into their aura. And when it goes out to their aura, you also pick it up when your aura clashes with theirs. So it's either going to clash or it's either going to align, and you're going to be in the same area or in the same zone. But always, and I say always, when you come across a person and your auras meet, the aura that is more predominant is always the aura of the one that has a steady pace, right? In this case, these monks or spiritual masters. So, not to say that you shouldn't care about your finances or your bank account or how you look and all that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is these people have gone beyond that, and I'm going to go even back to ancient Greece. Some of the greatest philosophers actually in ancient Greece were not even the philosophers that we know today, like Socrates, Plato, or Aristotle. They were actually some other philosophers that were behind the scenes, that were literally living in barrels and just enjoying the sun. And those were the people that when you had a conversation, you would be mind blown. And by the way, I'm going to tell you something else. Everybody on this planet has wisdom. And everybody on this planet, even if it is a small young child, you have something to learn from them. We all came here for a reason. Nothing is by coincidence. And we all have something to share to this wonderful world of ours. And if we just stop and pay attention to even a child, to anything, nature, just look around. You will learn from nature, you will learn from a child, you will learn from anybody. Doesn't matter if they're rich, it doesn't matter if they're poor, it doesn't matter if they're old, it doesn't matter if they're young, it doesn't matter if they're crippled, it doesn't matter if they're sick, it doesn't matter if they're healthy. You always have something to learn from all of them. And it is truly, truly remarkable to me. You see, everybody has access to what I call universal intelligence. Everybody. Even if it is for a fragment, even if it's for a fragment of a second. Even for that fragment of a second, what happens is you become one with Source. You become one with the universe. And there, in that fragment of the second, which I'm sure you've heard many spiritual masters, gurus talk about this. What happens in that moment, they become one with the universe, and as a result, they have this, literally this river of information that comes to them. Just a flow of information. And by the way, they cannot understand, they understand it at that moment, but they cannot bring this knowledge into this physical reality all at once because they are overwhelmed. Source just floods them with this information, even if it's for a fragment, But what happens is they don't carry all the knowledge, but even if they understand or comprehend even a small piece of it, and then they relate that message to the rest of the world becomes a better place. This is how we operate. So, when you're in the moment, you have all the knowledge of the universe, all the knowledge of Source, everything. Everything seems so pure, loving, and you understand everything. But you can only bring a portion of it back to, the physical reality. Why? Because your mind can't comprehend it, all of it. Some things are just felt. You can't, talk about them. It's just overwhelming. And that's why some people, even when they have a near-death experience, that's what they notice. Everything, the whole world, all the knowledge of the world comes to them because they were in contact with Source, right? But they can only bring a small portion of that to the rest of the world as their experience because, our mind, our brain is like 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds, whatever it is. You cannot fit all that knowledge in our brain. But take it segment by segment and then just put it out there. We learn from everybody. So I hope this video was helpful to you. Love and light to all. No matter what you do, be the greatest you. Always shine bright. Don't forget memberships here on this channel. If you like this video, by all means, you can hit a hype. And until next time, love and light. Always shine bright. I will be posting these videos. You're going to see on my community on my channel where what times I'm going to be posting these videos. So stay in touch, and again, don't forget I do have a clothing store as well. Different stuff there. Just check them out. If you like something, by all means, look it up and see what you like. A portion of all sales, of course, does go for an orphanage that I truly love and adore. So love and light. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.